There are so many new and exciting titles coming that we are spoilt for choice when it comes to innovative, original storylines in games. But honestly, everyone loves a good blast from the past. We've already started the year with some phenomenal sequels, solidifying expectations for the rest of the year, and there is a bar higher than Scott's gelled up fringe to be hit for subsequent releases. A whole new year means newer entries into the series we grew up on, and just one title is never enough to satisfy gamers anymore. Just look at Final Fantasy. Its now 16 main installment strong catalogue has got fans spoiled for content, and the rest of us want in on the action. Whilst we're still smacking zombies on the Resident Evil 2 remake or squealing at Toy Story World in Kingdom Hearts 3, it is easy to miss some of the more exciting titles linking back onto our screens later this year. But that is what I'm here for. I'm Ash from WhatCulture Gaming, and these are 9 video game sequels you didn't know were coming in 2019. 9. Battletoads. If you know the name, you know the pain. Battletoads has always been one of those notoriously difficult titles that only sadists take pleasure in playing, pitting your friendly-faced toad in a platformer that sees you try and release your froggy friends from capture. Originally released on the NES and with 5 games in the franchise, Battletoads has never really made it big, but we're getting another installment in 2019 that is angling to change that. The new Battletoads is set to have 3-person multiplayer, presumably for its 3 protagonists, Rash, Zitz and Pimple, and will be updating the game with a lovely 3D art style. We don't currently know much more than that. However, it is expected to be released this year from the original studio that started off the franchise, Rare. Battletoads will also be another Xbox exclusive, so whilst Microsoft might not have The Last of Us or God of War, at least they have mutated, vengeful amphibians. Hey, it's something. I'll take it, please. 8. Mountain Blade 2, Bannerlord. Whatever your tastes are, there is a simulator out there for you. Whether it's straight up farming, a spot of dad-on-dad dating, or some goat licking, gaming has got you covered. Mountain Blade's medieval warfare sim might not be the weirdest one, but it is beloved enough to warrant a sequel that is releasing sometime this year. Combining the beauty of a sim with an RPG, it has been a whopping 9 years since the first Mountain Blade. And needless to say, fans have really been clamouring for more. Purposefully directionless, the game reacts to what you do, meaning that making friends in powerful places can reap rewards or mistakes in equal measure. Or letting enemies run wild means quests might crop up to rid the townsfolk of the pesky nuisance. A favourite of the modder community and consistently reskinned as large-scale fantasy sets like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, Mountain Blade 2 will offer up better graphics and improved AI, making it more fun for those desperate to tear it apart and render it as something completely unrelated. You do you, modders, but the base game looks brilliant for the rest of us who like our digital dishes as served too. 7. Psychonauts 2. Remaining simultaneously one of the most cute and dark titles on the PlayStation 2, Psychonauts is a story of a boy with psychic abilities who sneaks into a camp designed to train spies, aka the Psychonauts, but discovers a sinister plot in the process. The second game looks set to carry on from Rhombus of Ruin, a VR chapter that completes the main mission setup in the first game. We'll be getting new powers as well as old favourites, with Raz thoroughly educated from his time with the Psychonauts to take on 3D platforming challenges. With the second game relying entirely on crowdfunding, there is a lot of love from both creators and consumers, as the project raised a whopping $3.3 million to get it ready for completion. That is almost as much as my wig! Narrative-wise, we already have Raz coming back, but we should learn far more about the Psychonauts themselves. And an interesting line from creator Tim Schafer notes that Raz will deal with the whole girlfriend term and what it really means. Ooh! It seems there is a whole new world of fun to unlock as soon as we get the confirmed release. 6. Evil Genius 2. A real-time strategy game that mostly flew under the radar, Evil Genius didn't make massive waves upon its release in 2004, but found a loyal fanbase that enjoyed its resource-gathering plotline that makes you strategize how to most effectively take over the world. As all Evil Geniuses should. And considering the company behind the game, Elixir, have collapsed under the weight of the industry, you'd think that would be the end of it. But maybe that's exactly what they wanted you to think. Coming a decade later, Evil Genius 2 is a follow-up to a few less exciting releases on mobile and in free-to-play territory, with Rebellion taking on the game and stating, "We'd like to make this super duper clear. This isn't a remaster, Evil Genius 2 will be a fully fledged sequel, and it won't be free-to-play. It'll be running on their Asura engine as a real-time game, expanding on the base building and resource gathering of the first iteration in true James Bond villain style." 5. Streets of Rage 4. You can never have too many karate-chopping, face-punching, limb-wielding fights down dark alleys, and that's just my Saturday night. Streets of Rage lets you step into my shoes of unbelievable hand-to-hand combat skills to kick the living crap out of decidedly evil people, and a decidedly evil kangaroo too, with the 4th installment coming this year to throw some fresh meat into the mix. Set 10 years after the events of Streets of Rage 3, returning characters Axel Stone and Blaze Fielding will be back and ready to bosh up any pesky bad guys with some badass moves, as showcased in 2018's trailer. It's the first Streets of Rage game in 25 years, marking a return to a fan-favourite series as well as jazzing up the visuals in the process. There isn't much more known about the title other than you can now juggle people, which is great. There is some flaming fists of fury, which is even better, and that it is definitely really coming, which is the best of all. Even the platforms are a mystery until later this year when we get a nice solid release date. Until then though, you can practice your fly kicks in the mirror and get yourself pumped. I know I will be. 4. Two Worlds 3. Two Worlds has had an interesting time over the course of its release, launching initially as a terrible game with voice acting so bad it became a joke in its own right, like me at WhatCulture. And the whole taint thing didn't really help either. The fact Two Worlds managed to squeeze a sequel out of its premise whatsoever was a miracle. Two Worlds 2 appeared to improve on the open world fantasy formula in every respect, becoming a commercial hit to most players' surprise. But Topware still didn't get everything right, as it was revealed their glowing reviews were pressured for by the company after desperation to get a hit on their hands struck heavily. So, what has Two Worlds 3 got in store? Hopefully more ridiculous voices, more sprawling RPG elements, and more surprises from Topware generally being ridiculous, to be honest. There's a whole new engine as well as updates running through Two Worlds 2's DLC to be carried over, so it should be a great building block upon what we've already seen. It is exciting to see just what the third entry will bring, as much for the PR as the gameplay. 3. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. A breathtakingly beautiful journey through enchanted forests and eerie, glowing landscapes, Ori and the Blind Forest was a darling indie game of 2015. Players took control of Orion's Sign, a white guardian spirit and the light and eyes of the spirit tree, working through Metroidvania gameplay to restore the surrounding forest whilst exploring. Centering around another rich story, Will of the Wisps will improve upon the game's distinctive visual style, if that is even possible, whilst exploring the area outside of Nibble Forest, prompting players to discover the truth of Ori's destiny and learn about the Lost Ones. Ori can use both a melee sword and a bow and arrow in this new title, making things a little easier than the spray of sparks from the original. There's also an added Spirit Trials minigame, a race through obstacle courses where players can compete on a leaderboard. All in all, it looks to be a fantastically tight title with gorgeous tones and beautiful sprawling landscapes to explore with your woodland pals. What more could you want? 2. Wasteland 3. With the original game releasing in 1988 and providing the inspiration for the Fallout series as we know it, Wasteland is one of those tentpole games that could happily rest on the mega achievements it's had credited to its name. But with the games industry ever expanding and fans continuously hungry for more, it is unlikely that will ever happen. Especially considering we already waited 26 years for the follow-up in 2014. Wasteland 3 will be produced again by In Exile, who helmed the first sequel, this time moving from the arid deserts to the freezing tundra of Colorado, where one desert ranger is left to face what is left in the world, whether it be monsters or their even more terrifying counterpart, humans. Put into a squad and running through turn-based combat, you can play either in the classic single-player mode or new multiplayer instead, depending on how much you trust those you want to traverse the treacherous wasteland with. It looks pretty, plays smoothly, and offers up a whole new player experience. Hopefully, like the Witcher and Metro franchises, the third installment is by far the biggest and best yet. 1. The Surge 2. If you think Dark Souls, you think medieval swordplay in deep dark dungeons with armor-clad enemies and sprawling fantasy settings. You don't think science fiction robot showdowns in the far future, but that is exactly what the cyberpunk adaptation of the Souls world has to offer. Born from the much beloved, or much hated depending on your tolerance, of games that make you work your damn ass off to progress a couple of meters, formula that makes up the Souls games, The Surge is a pretender to the throne for many, but still offers a different spin on the worlds we've come to know and dedicate ludicrous hours to in the process. The Surge 2 was revealed at E3 2018, and will expand on what we've already seen in the first installment, production company Focus Home has promised. And, I quote, "Combat is more brutal and tactical than ever, with even more options thanks to an expanded limb targeting system. In addition, more abilities, weapons, implants, and drones give players a vast arsenal to build their character with in their fight against the array of diverse new enemies and bosses. Maybe it will finally make its name as more than a rip-off after all." And that's our list. What video game sequels are you most excited for? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. I've been Ash, and this has been WhatCulture Gaming. Make sure to subscribe to the WhatCulture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles.